If you don't know what this is, don't feel bad. You're not alone. Most people don't. If you do know what this is and you believe it doesn't affect your life, truth is it does. You're just not seeing it. And if you know what this is and you don't care, you might want to change the way you see money. But let's just see, how did we get here in the first place?
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to yeah, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
What I think he meant to say was that the government is forced to borrow money from the Federal Reserve. But we all know that borrowing money is not free. It comes with interest. So essentially, we use a currency that is owed to a private central group of people. So are dollars really money at all?
Most people don't understand that currency today is not money.
How are you telling me that the thing in my wallet is not money?
So when I say money is not money, what I really mean is if you look at the history of money, people have used all kinds of different things in the history of money, different stones, shells. Eventually, gold became very popular as a use for money. And what happened in 1971 with Bretton Woods was they took the currency, the US dollar, off the gold standard. We call that a fiat currency. Money not backed by anything, basically. And what that enables them to do from that point is essentially print the money whenever they have to pay off the debt. By doing that, they're actually able to debase currency. So today, everyone experiences high inflation. That tends to happen because of this monetary debasement. So you'll find throughout history, the governments will print themselves out of debt. So they just create more debt. They print the money essentially to pay for the debt. And the system goes on, and now we're in the 30s of trillions of dollars in debt. And we'll head even higher from here.
I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I just looked through my Walmart history, and I found this Walmart order from 2 years ago for the whole month worth of groceries. 45 items cost $126. A whole month of groceries just for me, basically. But I did notice this reorder all button, and I wanted to see how much it would cost now. Now, this order of 45 items for 1 month would have cost $414. That is 4 times more. How the fuck? How? What?
If his wages had gone up 4 times, there wouldn't be a reason to make that video. Okay, I know what you're thinking. We get it. The government is printing our money. So what? It's the currency of the world and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, I beg to differ. If your currency is losing value over time, wouldn't you want to look for an alternative? Let's go back for a second. Hear me out.
During the 2008 meltdown, when the government bailed out too big to fail giants like Bear Stearns, AIG, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, who did they hire to analyze and clean up the mess? Another giant financial firm by the name of BlackRock, led by a very well-connected billionaire by the name of Larry Fink. BlackRock was awarded these key government contracts to help with the meltdown with no competitive bidding while being enveloped in secrecy. Basically, Larry Fink was hired to be the manager of Washington's bailout of Wall Street, even though BlackRock is one of the biggest shareholders in the same banks they were helping to get bailed out, making Larry Fink the most powerful man in the post-bailout economy.
What I think about most of these cryptocurrencies, it just identifies how much money laundering there is being done in the world. It's digitizing gold in many ways. Instead of investing in gold as a hedge against inflation, a hedge against the onerous problems of any one country, or the devaluation of your currency, whatever country you're in. Let's be clear, Bitcoin is an international asset. It's not based on any one currency. And so it can represent an asset that people can play as an alternative.
How do we go from money laundering in 2017 to an international asset in 2023? I wonder what happened. Hey, Larry, can you explain more?
As you know, I was a skeptic. Yes. I was a proud skeptic. And I studied it, learned about it, and I came away saying, okay, my opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's my opinion today. This is what I believe in today. I believe the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. I'm not trying to say there's not misuses like everything else, but it is a legitimate financial instrument that allows you to have maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated type of return. And so I'm a major believer that there is a role for Bitcoin in portfolios. I believe you're going to see that as one of the asset classes that we all look at. And I believe there's a great industrial use for it. And I think a lot of people are missing that.
I couldn't agree more. I changed my mind about it when you did. You had been my thinking. It was like, you don't believe in it, so I can't believe it. I want to thank Larry Fink for the message of optimism.
The thing is, 9 out of 10 people completely discredit Bitcoin and write it off when they first hear about it. It's actually normal. What's not normal is when they don't study it and they don't learn about it and they dismiss it because it's labeled as a cryptocurrency. So they believe it can't be money. Let me show you one more billionaire who misspoke about Bitcoin. This is Michael Saylor, and here he is at the Bitcoin conference that happened this past July in 2024. But it was not always like this. Michael, just like everyone else, had strong feelings against Bitcoin when he first heard about it. Here's Michael in 2013 writing a post on Twitter saying that Bitcoin's days are numbered. It seems like just a matter of time before it suffers the same fate as online gambling. Online gambling, huh? I wonder how he's going to get himself out of this one.
Right, which getting everybody to understand that the more knowledgeable somebody is about money, the more they are constantly looking for, where can I put this money that it will stay, it will retain the purchasing power that it has, or that its purchasing power will go up. Now, right. I lived 40 years of my life without ever asking that question, because all I ever thought about was generate money, whether that was generate a paycheck or whether that was build equity in the company that I would ultimately sell. But once I sold a company and all of a sudden had, a very substantial amount of money, all of a sudden I had to understand investing. And it was a real shock to my system. So just understanding that you're putting your money into something that you hope will retain its value or grow its value over time. It seems like what you represent to me is somebody who has tremendous conviction, possibly a lot of risk tolerance, which is something that I want to better understand about you. And everybody else, myself included, is more like, I'm not sure. I don't know. So I have what many would consider an irresponsible amount of my net worth in Bitcoin. But I put in as much as I was willing to lose. And so, but I put in over about a year, I dollar cost averaged in over a year, and then said, cool, that's all that I'm going to do. So even though the price has gone down, I'm not buying more as of right now.
I just want to make the point, I think the real issue here is, do you have an engineering mentality and reason from first principles Or are you simply complying with the norms of society and conventional wisdom that you grew up with? All those rules of thumb they don't work if you're a Jew in Nazi Germany in the 30s, right? Buying a house to store value doesn't work, right? Trusting the government. How about trust the government, keep your nose clean? That doesn't work, right? Buying stocks. That's an interesting thing in the US when the money supply expands at 7% a year. Do you think stocks work if you bought stocks in Zimbabwe or stocks in Cuba or stocks in North Korea or stocks in Argentina? And so the point really is all of these are simple rules of thumb that allow people to not think for themselves. You're on a ship, the ship is sinking, there's 10 boats in front of you. One of the boats doesn't have a hole in it. The other 9 boats have holes in them. But you got 10 members in your family. Are you going to put one kid in each of the 9 boats or the like? Or are you going to put everybody in the boat that doesn't have the hole in it?
Okay, so you come to that level of conviction, which is intoxicating, by the way.
It's
and
not
is why-
conviction. It's not conviction. It's just rational thinking for yourself. Why is it that you don't move your entire family to Zimbabwe, sell all your stuff, and buy the Zimbabwe dollar? Why is it that you don't do that? Because of conviction, or just because it seems quite obvious to you that's not a good idea?
I won't say that conviction is when you don't do something, but when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be
How many
coming from
chairs
first
are you sitting on
principles.
right now?
1.
Are you all in on the chair?
I am all in on the chair.
Like the point really is you put on one pair of glasses, you've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? You get on one airplane? Are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane. Aren't you afraid? And what Bitcoin represents is hope. It's hope for a refugee that's going to flee a hostile regime, a hostile banking system, a hostile environment. And if you're one of the 3 or 4 billion people that has no hope otherwise, then for you, it's really a egalitarian, utilitarian entitlement. For people that are rich in the Western world, it's just an investment option for them until they get sensitized to this issue. And the more you get sensitized, then you start to realize that it's a moral imperative, even if not for you. Maybe you're rich and safe. It's a moral imperative for you to support it for them, for people that are in Africa or South America or fleeing from a war zone or fleeing from a hostile regime that's going to confiscate 20, 30, 40% of their property every year forever. So even if you don't think you need it in order to protect your family for the next 30 years, seems to me like you might want to support it just because it's the right thing for humanity. And that's where I come down on this situation.
Look, I'm not here to convince you to buy Bitcoin. I wouldn't be able to do that legally even if I wanted to. But the fact of the matter is, if Bitcoin didn't matter, then why would a former president waste his time to go to a Bitcoin conference just 2 weeks after the assassination attempt on his life? If Bitcoin didn't have any value, then why would the US continue to hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet? Why wouldn't they just sell the Bitcoin for more dollars? And if Bitcoin was worthless, why is the United States senator trying to make a Bitcoin strategic reserve out of it? And if Bitcoin wasn't worth anything, how is it almost $100,000 per coin after only just 15 years. Wouldn't it be zero by now?